Every time we complain, our brain releases a stress hormone called cortisol. Hello dear friends, it's soon going to be the New Year's. Everybody's excited thinking about what is it that they're going to do in 2022. Vision boards, New Year's resolutions. I'm going to make it simpler. Do whatever you want, but just don't do one thing. If you don't do this one thing, everything else will fall into place. Guess. Complaining. Research shows that on average, everybody complains once every minute. Goodness. Now, why do people complain so much even when we know that complaining gets us nothing? Well, because complaining tricks us into believing that we have the power, we are right, and the other person is wrong. And slowly, it changes us into becoming negative, pessimistic people without any power who are constantly giving their power away by complaining. People don't improve because of complaints. People improve when their mindsets change, isn't it? So where 2022 is concerned, you can do whatever it is that you desire, but you will not complain. Because research shows that every time we complain, we wreck our lives and our brain and our bodies. And I will tell you how. Every time we complain, our brain releases a stress hormone called cortisol. With every complaint, the cortisol level starts to rise, and then we have high blood pressure. Because of that, we have high cholesterol, and that leads to fatigue, low immunity, anxiety, and perhaps chronic depression. The Stanford University had a study that with constant complaining, we shrink the hippocampus in the brain. Now, what's a hippocampus? It's an area in the brain that's associated with problem solving and critical thinking. Imagine when we're constantly complaining, we're letting go of the genius where our brain is concerned and ruining our brains. Now, this is such an important message, not just for the adults, but for our children as well. Now, if you go back to our first episode of Mindful Mondays, I had talked about gratitude, that when we are consistently grateful, we build neural pathways in our brain, and hence we will attract everything that makes us feel more grateful, more happy. In the same way, complaining leads to negativity, and negativity leads to having a pessimistic attitude to life. Why? Because the brain then builds neural pathways of complaining much more. So we will always find reasons to complain. If we complain, then it's easier to complain the second time and the third time and the fourth time, and soon it's become a habit. So if you get chocolates, you will complain about the wrappers. If it's a party, you will complain about the music. If you go to the beach, you will complain, why am I not at the mountains? If you go to the mountains, you will complain, why am I not at the beach? Now, people who consistently complain and look at the negative side of life are called party poopers, isn't it? But then imagine being in a party with someone who complains and then it spreads like wildfire. Because it's not just positivity that's contagious. It's also negativity. So you need to make friends wisely and stick with friends wisely, because you become 80% exactly like the people you spend 80% of your time with. So now how can we give up this habit of constantly complaining? What has helped my private clients is first just make a pact that, hey, I'm not going to verbalize my complaints. So even if you think about them, at least I will not speak about them. Slowly, as your mindfulness practice grows, then you can realize, hey, even thinking about them is equally damaging for my brain. So now I need to change my mindset. And the easiest way to change your mindset is doing the opposite of complaining. That means thinking about something to be grateful for. So now the next time you really want to complain about the roads, you will start to think about 3 things that you're grateful for. Well, at least I have roads. At least the signal is working. At least I'm sitting in a car. Next time you feel like complaining about your organization, you will think about 3 things that you're grateful for. Well, at least they hired me. At least I get my paycheck on time. At least I get hot coffee every day. And last, the most successful technique to get rid of the habit to complain. Create a complaint jar at home or in your office. Now, a complaint jar, that doesn't mean that you're going to put complaints in your jar. That means that every time anybody complains in your home or your office, you are going to ask them to put in £1 or 10 rupees or 100 rupees or $1 in the complaint jar. Why? Because it would be a reminder that there's a cost to a complaint. You always pay a price. And at the end of the month, you can give that money to perhaps the person who's not complained at all. Difficult to find. But then we have lots of fun here, and it's a beautiful exercise where children are concerned because they just stop complaining, and it also changes the adults. So my dear friends, may 2022 bring you so much to be grateful for and nothing to complain. So 2022, do whatever it is that your heart desires, but just don't do one thing. Don't complain.